Long ago, in the lush valleys and golden plains of the kingdom of Obu, peace had a price. Obu was a land of song and harvest. Its rivers flowed with silver fish, and the wind danced through palm trees like whispers from the ancestors. The people praised the skies, planted yam and millet, and told stories under the moonlight. At the heart of the kingdom stood a grand palace made of some baked stone and ivory towers, ruled by King Boko, a man both loved and feared. But behind the palace walls, a secret burned like fire in dry grass. For nearly 20 years, every summer's end, a dragon came from the volcanic mountains beyond the eastern cliffs. It soared over villages, its wings casting shadows that turned day into night, demanding payment in blood. Not gold. Not cattle. Royal daughters. The story was never told to the people. They believed the king's daughters were married off to distant princes or sent to sacred temples. But in truth, 2 were sacrificed every year, offered to the dragon so that Obu might survive one more season. This curse had roots older than anyone alive. Long ago, a greedy king of Obu stole a golden egg from the dragon's lair. In fury, the dragon scorched the earth and declared, "Your royal blood took what was mine. Now royal blood must repay it. 2 daughters, every year. Or your entire line shall burn." And so it was done. Every year. In silence. In shame. In the small outer village of Kuto, far from the royal court, lived a young woman named Zeya. She was a healer skilled with herbs, poultices, and quiet kindness. She had no royal blood, no title, no riches. Her heart was small, her smile was big, and her hands were always busy helping others. She had heard whispers, though, that strange girls were taken in the dark. That some weddings had no husbands. That in the east, dragons cried in hunger. But Zeya paid it little mind. After all, she was no princess. Until the soldiers came. They arrived one misty morning with royal horses and stern faces. Her village gathered in fear as the red-plumed guards read from a scroll. By order of Queen Ayara and Prince Datu, Zeya of Kuto is chosen to marry the royal house and serve the realm. No one cheered. No one celebrated. Zeya stared in stunned silence. A bride. To whom? And why her? Days passed like fog. Zeya was taken to the palace and bathed in oils, dressed in silks she couldn't pronounce. Gold bangles clinked on her wrists. Her hair was twisted with coral beads. Yet she never saw the prince. Not once. Until the night before the wedding. She was led to a private chamber, where Prince Datu stood alone. He was tall, proud, and dressed in black robes. His eyes were hard. His mouth didn't smile. Zeya knelt, trembling. "Why have I been chosen, my prince?" He looked away. "You are needed." Before she could ask more, he turned and left. She never saw him again. That same night, when the moon was hidden by clouds, Zeya was dragged from her bed. A sack was thrown over her head. She screamed, kicked, begged, but the guard said nothing. Hours passed. She was carried on horseback through thick forest, across jagged rocks. Finally, the horses stopped. The sack was pulled off her head. She was standing at the edge of a vast, burning crater, a volcanic pit glowing with red smoke and ash. The heat stung her skin. The earth rumbled beneath her feet. The guards said nothing. One of them whispered, "Forgive us." Then, with one push, she fell. Zeya landed hard on hot rock, her screams echoing into the belly of the mountain. She rolled and coughed, her skin scraped and bleeding. When she looked up, the ledge was too far. There was no climbing out. And then, she heard it. A growl. Low. Deep. Hungry. From the shadows, a shape moved. A flash of glowing yellow eyes. Smoke curled in the air. Claws scraped stone. The beast was coming. Zaya screamed and ran. Her bare feet slapped against the scorched ground. She darted through narrow paths between jagged boulders. Her heart pounded. Her legs burned. Then, she saw it. A crack. A small crevice between the rocks. With all her strength, she threw herself inside, squeezing into the narrow space, heart thudding like a drum. She held her breath. Outside, the dragon stopped. It sniffed the air. Smoke curled from its nostrils. Its voice came like thunder. I smell royal blood. Come out, little bride. Let me eat you in peace. Zaya bit her lip, trembling. A talking dragon. Tears welled in her eyes. How had it come to this? She was no princess. No one of worth. Just a village healer, thrown into fire. Why me? She whispered. Suddenly, a gentle hand touched her shoulder. Zaya gasped and turned, but saw nothing. Then, a whisper. So soft, so near. This way, if you want to live. A stone in the wall shifted. A path revealed. Zaya didn't hesitate. She followed the voice into the unknown, leaving behind the dragon's fire, and stepping into the heart of a mystery far deeper than she ever imagined. Zaya stumbled through the narrow tunnel, her hands scraping the stone walls. The voice had gone silent now, but she followed the small breeze that kissed her face, cool and fresh, unlike the heat behind her. Her legs ached, her body burned, but her heart beat strong with something new. Hope. The crevice slowly opened into a wide cavern, and Zaya gasped. She had stepped into a world that shimmered with mystery. Giant glowing plants hung from the ceiling like lanterns. Their leaves pulsed with soft green light. Strange blue moss covered the rocks, glowing beneath her feet. High above, tiny specks floated through the air like stars caught in a dream. Where am I? She whispered. Suddenly, a voice, this time louder, but kind. You are not dead, child. But you walk close to the line. Zaya turned. From the shadows emerged a woman, bent and slow, wrapped in layers of faded cloth. Her long white hair flowed like a river of snow, and her eyes were pale, clouded with blindness. Zaya stepped back. Who are you? The woman gave a sad smile. I am Naya. Long ago, I too was meant to feed the dragon. Zaya stared, stunned. You escaped. Naya nodded. I ran into the earth and never looked back. These tunnels, this place, it's old. Older than the palace. Older than even the dragon's curse. Zaya sat by the glowing moss as Naya boiled herbs in a hollowed stone. The sweet scent filled the air as Naya gently wrapped Zaya's burned arm with a leaf soaked in green liquid. You are lucky, she said. Few survived the fall. Fewer still escaped the fire. Zaya winced. Why does it want us? Why does the dragon hunt royal brides? Naya's face darkened. Because of a lie, she said. Long ago, Naya explained, there was no dragon. Only peace between the mountains and the kingdom. The beast now feared was once a guardian, a mighty creature of wisdom named Kayan, who protected the land. Kayan lived with his mate and guarded a golden egg, a child of fire and light, a gift of balance between man and beast. But King Abinyo, an ancestor of Obu's current king, grew greedy. He desired immortality and believed the dragon's egg could give it. He sent hunters to the mountain. They tricked Kayan with poison offerings, and while he lay weak, they stole the egg and killed his mate. When Kayan woke, the world had changed. His heart shattered. His grief turned into rage. He flew to the palace and burned the king's sons in their sleep. But the queen made a deal. Spare the land, she said, and we will repay your loss. Every year. 2 daughters from royal blood, in place of the egg you lost. Kayan agreed. Not out of peace, but out of punishment. Zaya listened, eyes wide, heartbreaking. So, all this time, the people never knew. They thought the royals were noble. Naya nodded. And so the cycle continued. Each generation hiding the scene. Each bride thrown into the fire. Zeya clenched her fist. I'm not royal. I don't belong to them. Why did they choose me? Naya placed a hand on her heart. Because you're easy to lose, she whispered. Far above, in the grand halls of Obu's palace, Prince Datu sat alone in a chamber lit by oil lamps. His hands trembled as he stared at a pendant, the one Zeya wore around her neck before the wedding. He hadn't looked her in the eye. He hadn't told her the truth. He wanted to believe he was different, but the queen, his mother, controlled everything. She is gone, the queen said coldly. Prepare the next bride. The dragon will return soon. Datu swallowed hard. She wasn't royal. The agreement. The queen slammed her fist on the throne's arm. Do you think the dragon knows the difference? She smelled like the palace. That's enough. But what if she survived? She didn't. He turned away, guilt gnawing at his soul. A part of him whispered that Zeya still lived. A part of him hoped she would return. Back in the glowing cave, Zeya rested against the mossy wall, lost in thought. But something caught her eye, a soft shimmer in the air, near a pool of still water. Tiny glowing fireflies floated above it, their light golden and warm. One landed on her arm, and to her shock, the pain from her bruises faded. Zeya's eyes widened. She rolled up her sleeve and guided another firefly to her burned wrist. The pain disappeared. The wound closed. She looked at Naya. These fireflies, they can heal. Naya nodded slowly. Yes. They carry ancient magic. Not many know, but the dragon's fire doesn't kill everything. These creatures were born of the same fire, but they chose life. Zeya gently gathered a few into a woven pouch. Her heart stirred. If this can heal me, maybe they can weaken the dragon too. Over the next days, though time moved strangely underground, Zeya trained in secret. She learned to move silently through the tunnels. To blend into shadows. To set traps and collect fireflies. She drank from glowing streams and studied the ancient carvings on stone walls, stories of betrayal, hope, and battle. She began to understand the old language, spoken by fire and symbol. She wasn't just surviving now. She was preparing. One evening, she stood at the edge of a deeper tunnel. The air was hot. The rocks glowed faintly. Naya watched her. You're going to face it, aren't you? Zeya nodded. I have to stop this. Not just for me. For every girl thrown into that pit. For every lie told by a golden throne. Naya smiled, a tear sliding from her blind eye. Then go, child. Go with fire in your heart. Zeya stepped into the darkness once more, this time not as a victim, but as a flame. A healer. A fighter. And the one bride who would not be forgotten. Zeya walked deeper into the tunnels, where the warm air turned thick and heavy. The light from the fireflies glowed in her pouch, casting soft golden patterns along the stone walls. But even their comfort could not calm the strange energy she felt. It was as if the earth itself was breathing beneath her feet. She reached a wide circular chamber, so vast it felt like the belly of a mountain. Its walls rose high and smooth, etched with carvings from long ago. Ancient mirrors danced across the stone in fading pigments of red, black, and gold. Zeya stepped closer, running her fingers gently across the first scene. There were girls, dozens of them, kneeling with flower crowns on their heads, surrounded by fire. Another mirror showed a dragon, chained to a throne, roaring in pain as gold was taken from beneath him. Then she saw a final carving, more recent, glowing faintly with faded blue paint. The flame rejected shall end the cycle. Zeya stared at the words, her heart racing. What does that mean? She whispered aloud. Is it about me? Am I the flame? The chamber answered with a gust of wind. And then, a snarl. A familiar growl rumbled through the cavern, shaking the walls. Zeya turned just as Kian, the dragon, burst through the opposite tunnel. Smoke poured from his jaws. His long body shimmered like dark metal, eyes glowing with rage. You again, the dragon growled. You should have died like the others. Zeya stood frozen, clutching her pouch. Please, I don't want to fight, she said. But I won't run anymore. The dragon roared and lunged forward. Zeya reached into her pouch and threw a handful of fireflies toward him. They burst into light, soft, golden sparks filling the air. The dragon stopped mid-charge, twisting in the air. The fireflies clung to his scales, glowing brighter and brighter. With a cry, Kian stumbled backward, as if the light burned his skin. Zeya's eyes widened. They hurt him. But the dragon recovered quickly. Smoke whirled around his head. What magic is this? Zeya backed toward the wall. You were never meant to be this. I know your story. I know what they did to you. The dragon paused, eyes narrowing. Zeya raised her voice. I'm not royal. I don't carry their blood. They picked me because I was easy to discard. For a moment, everything was still. Then the dragon inhaled, his eyes flickering. You are not of the line. Your scent, your blood, it is different. Zeya took a shaky breath. I was only meant to die so they could keep their lies hidden. Kian's claws lowered. His tail wrapped around a stone pillar like a snake at rest. The fire in his throat dimmed. Why would you speak the truth? He asked. Why not just run? They all ran. Zeya stepped forward, voice trembling. Because I want to know. Tell me the truth. All of it. From you. The dragon sat back. Smoke curled from his nostrils. Long ago, he began, I was not a beast. I was a guardian, sworn to protect the royal family of Obu. I walked on 2 legs, wore armor of obsidian, and spoke the tongue of kings. Zeya's breath caught. I guarded the royal vault, the dragon continued, where the golden egg of my kind rested. A bond between dragon and human, a promise of peace. But your king, Abinyo, was greedy. He wanted the egg for himself. He believed it would make him immortal. So he ordered his guards to kill me. The dragon's voice grew heavier. They poisoned my wine. Stabbed me in my sleep. But my soul did not die, it twisted in pain and fury. I became this. He opened his wings wide, the cavern shaking with his sorrow. The egg was cracked in their hands. My mate, taken. My vow broken. And then? Zeya asked softly. I cursed them, the dragon said. The bloodline. The name. The crown. 2 daughters every year. Their joy would be stolen, just like mine. Zeya's eyes filled with tears. But not all the girls were royal. They began choosing others. Like me. I know, the dragon said. Their lies burn like fire. But my hunger, my pain, it blinded me. I did not care. Until now. Zeya stepped closer. Then let it end. Let it end with me. Kian studied her, his breath hot against her face. You have no reason to fight for them. Yet here you are. Because if I don't, they'll throw in someone else, she said. They already have. High above, inside the walls of the palace, a young girl knelt before the queen, her wrist bound in gold cords. She was barely 16. Her name was Ineya, Zeya's cousin. Her parents had begged, but the queen stood firm. The dragon must be fed. And she is young, healthy, and carries a trace of royal blood. Prince Datu stood by the window, fist clenched. Ineya is a child, he shouted. She's enough, the queen said. The dragon won't know the difference. But deep in his heart, Datu knew something had changed. Something was coming. Back in the cavern, Kayan's great head lowered until his eye met Zeya's. You want to end the curse? Zeya nodded. You want to save the girl? I must. Then listen, the dragon said, voice deep and slow. The royal vault still holds what remains of the golden egg. Bring it to me. Show me they have not destroyed all of it. Only then will the curse break. Zeya's heart pounded. But they won't let me in. The dragon growled. Then you must force your way. Show them your fire. Zeya looked down at her glowing pouch. The fireflies danced softly, warm and bright. She would need more than light. She would need courage. That night, as the fireflies lit her path, Zeya carved new markings into the stone wall, a promise, a prayer, a prophecy. Let truth burn brighter than royal lies. The girl who once wept in the shadows now moved with purpose. Her body still bore the dragon's heat, but her heart carried a different kind of fire. She was no longer prey. She was the flame rejected. And she was going home. The climb was long. Zeya's fingers were blistered. Her feet scraped raw. But her heart beat with fire. From the depths of the earth, she rose, not as a bride, not as a sacrifice, but as a woman reborn. The glowing patch of fireflies at her side shimmered gently, their soft light guiding her through winding stone paths. The tunnels she once feared now felt like home. Behind her, the dragon's voice echoed. Bring me the egg, or watch the sky burn. Zeya had no time left. She reached the surface just as the sun dipped behind dark clouds, casting the kingdom in a grey and uneasy light. The air smelled of flowers and incense. Bells rang. Drums beat. It was a wedding day. In the grand courtyard of Obu's palace, silken fabrics flowed in the wind. Guests in brilliant robes filled the seats, their faces painted in joy. Prince Datu stood at the altar, dressed in golden armor, his expression torn between duty and guilt. Beside him, in trembling silence, stood Inia, her cousin, Zeya's cousin, dressed in red and white, her head bowed. The queen sat on a throne of carved ivory, her eyes scanning the crowd, smiling with false calm. To the people, it was a royal celebration. But Zeya knew, it was a lie soaked in perfume. As the priests lifted their hands to begin the blessing, the palace gates screamed open. Gasps filled the air. A figure stepped in, barefoot, covered in ash, hair wild with soot and sweat. Yet something about her glowed. A soft light radiated from her skin. Her eyes blazed with truth. It was Zeya. Alive. Murmurs rushed through the crowd. Is that? She was thrown into the mountain, how is she? The queen stood, her voice sharp. That girl is a fraud. Guards, arrest her. But none moved. The guards stood frozen, eyes wide. No one had ever returned from the dragon's pit. No one. And yet here she was, untouched by flame. Zeya stepped onto the wedding platform. You all dance on bones, she said, her voice calm but cutting. You wear gold paid for in blood. This is not a wedding. It's a funeral waiting to happen. The guests looked to the queen. Lies, the queen snapped. She is cursed. She speaks madness. Zeya raised the glowing pouch of fireflies. Their light spread like a halo across the stage. The crowd gasped again. If I am cursed, Zeya said, then let the curse speak for itself. The sky growled. A gust of hot wind blew through the courtyard, scattering petals and toppling lanterns. Drums stopped. Birds fled. Children cried. From the clouds, a shadow stretched across the land. The guests looked up. And screamed. The dragon had come. Its wings blocked the sun. Its eyes burned like twin suns. Its roar shattered glass. It flew over the palace once, then hovered above the courtyard. Its voice was thunder made flesh. The blood of betrayal shall burn. Then it unleashed fire. Flames poured from its mouth like rivers. The sky turned orange. The guests scattered in terror. Banners caught fire. Statues melted. Guards dropped their weapons and ran. The queen fell to her knees, her gown blazing at the edges. "No. Mercy," she cried. "You got your bride, take her." The dragon landed with a deafening crash, shaking the earth. Its tail crushed the golden stage. It turned its head, smoke curling from its mouth. "You lied again. This girl is no bride. She is no royal. You broke the pact." In the chaos, Zeya grabbed Ineya and pulled her away. Fire burned the silk around them, but Zeya held tight. Suddenly, Prince Datu threw himself in front of them both, using his cloak to shield the flames. The dragon paused, watching. "You protect them," it growled. Datu looked up, face singed, eyes full of sorrow. "I do," he said. "I see the truth now. I was a coward before. But not today." The dragon's eyes narrowed. "Then speak." Datu turned to Zeya. "You have the fireflies." Zeya nodded. "And the knowledge." "The truth." "The vault, there's something inside it." "The egg." Datu pulled a golden pendant from beneath his robes, the royal seal. "It opens the chamber," he said. "Come." Through the burning palace they ran, Zeya, Datu, and Ineya, dodging flames and falling stone. Behind them, the dragon followed, crawling like a god through the ruins. They reached a secret hall behind the throne room. Datu pressed the pendant into the wall. Gears turned. A hidden door creaked open. Inside was a small, circular chamber with gold walls and a glowing pedestal in the center. Upon it lay a cracked, golden egg, encased in glass. Zeya stepped forward. The fireflies glowed brighter. "The last piece of his heart," she whispered. "Still here. Still waiting." She opened the pouch and released the fireflies. They flew toward the egg and circled it gently, their light pulsing like a heartbeat. The egg began to glow. Behind them, the dragon entered. His eyes locked on the egg. He stepped forward slowly, each foot shaking the ground. "It is still whole," he whispered. "After all this time." Zeya turned to him. "It was hidden to protect the lie. But now, it can heal the truth." The dragon closed his eyes. Flames died on his lips. Smoke faded. A deep rumble echoed in his chest, not anger, but sorrow. "Then the fire ends here." He looked to Datu. "You, royal son. You must give up the crown." Datu nodded. "Gladly." "And the queen?" Zeya stepped forward. "She has already burned." Outside, the fire began to die. The winds calmed. The sky brightened. The palace stood blackened, scarred, but still standing. And the dragon, for the first time in centuries, folded his wings and whispered, "Let peace return." The air inside the royal vault was warm and heavy, as though time itself held its breath. Zeya stepped forward, her feet slow and steady, as the light from the healing fireflies filled the hidden chamber. Behind her, Prince Datu walked silently, and beside them, the great dragon Kion followed, his massive body lowered in solemn reverence. The walls shimmered with gold, carved with the names of past kings and queens, all those who had ruled with hidden shame. At the heart of the room, on a stone pedestal encased in crystal, lay the cracked golden egg. Though faded and fractured, it still shimmered faintly with a soft glow, like a fire not yet extinguished. The moment Kion laid eyes on it, the dragon let out a long, sorrowful cry. Smoke poured from his nostrils, and his massive chest heaved as he knelt before it. "My child," he whispered, his voice breaking. Tears of fire welled in his eyes and fell to the floor, burning tiny holes into the stone. No one spoke. Even Prince Datu bowed his head. Zeya stepped closer, heart pounding. She gently reached for her pouch and opened it. The fireflies, sensing the moment, flew into the chamber in glowing swirls. They landed gently on the crystal, covering it with their warm golden light. And then, it happened. The egg began to pulse. Softly at first, then brighter and brighter. A light shone through the cracks. And then, in a burst of blue flame, a vision filled the chamber. Zeya gasped as an image formed in the air, Kayan, but not as a beast. As a tall, proud guardian, wearing black obsidian armor, wings folded behind him, his face noble and wise. Beside him stood a woman of fire, holding the golden egg. The past shimmered before their eyes, a time of peace, a time of trust. Then the image darkened. Knives. Betrayal. The king stealing the egg. The mate's scream. Kayan's transformation into the beast. The pain was real. But now, the fireflies glowed with healing light, circling both dragon and egg. Their wings shimmered like hope itself. Zeya placed her hand on the crystal. You never wanted revenge, she whispered. You wanted your child back. Your heart. The dragon closed his eyes. Yes. But then the light dimmed again. The egg flickered, its healing unfinished. The vision shifted, revealing words on the wall in ancient symbols. The curse shall lift only when the blood of betrayal releases its crown. Prince Datu stepped forward. He looked at Zeya. Then at Kayan. He took a deep breath, and removed the royal pendant from his chest. I, Datu of House Obu, Prince of the Throne, give up my claim, he said clearly. The rule of this kingdom, built on lies and sacrifice, ends with me. The dragon watched him closely. Then what will you build? Kayan asked. Datu turned to Zeya, who stood tall, her eyes burning with quiet fire. With her, he said. With truth. With justice. With healing. Zeya's heart ached. Not with sorrow, but with belief. Together, they turned toward the vault's entrance. But before they could leave, a sudden scream rang through the halls. The queen. Dressed in torn robes, her crown crooked on her head, she stumbled into the vault, flanked by guards she had bribed. Her face twisted in fury. Lies. All lies, she shrieked. You would give the kingdom to a peasant girl. A creature of fire. No. Obu belongs to me. Zeya stepped forward. You've ruled with fear. That ends today. But the queen laughed. You think the people will follow a girl dragged from the dead? I built this kingdom. I kept it alive. No, the dragon growled. You fed it with blood. Smoke poured from his jaws as he stepped in front of Zeya and Datu. The queen turned to flee. But Kayan's tail slammed across the exit. The judgment is not mine, he rumbled. It is the fire's. And then he breathed. A slow, steady flame, not wild, not vengeful, but cleansing. The fire wrapped around the queen's throne, her crown, and the emblems of her rule. They burned to ash. The queen screamed, but not in pain. In realization. For the first time, she saw her legacy, fear, greed, betrayal. And then she was gone. As the smoke cleared, a quiet hush fell over the palace. The dragon bowed his great head. It is done. Outside, the sky turned gold. The morning sun broke through the clouds, casting light on the palace ruins and the people gathering in the courtyard. The gates had opened. Men, women, children, elders, all came forward, some with fear, some with hope. They looked to Zeya, standing with her soot-streaked face and glowing pouch. She held no crown. No jewels. But her presence shone brighter than gold. They looked to Datu, no longer in royal robes, but standing beside her, proud and humble. And they bowed. In the days that followed, Obu began to heal. Zeya and Datu were crowned not by blood, but by the will of the people. Their coronation was held not on a golden throne, but beneath the sacred tree in the heart of the village where Zeya once lived. There were no sacrifices. No swords. Only songs. The dragon stayed for a time. Kion flew over fields and farms, bringing rain with his wings and warmth with his fire. But one morning, just before sunrise, he stood before Zeya and Datu for the last time. "The curse is broken," he said. "But so is the bond. I must return to the skies." Zeya touched his snout gently. "Thank you," she said, "for trusting again." Kion looked out at the land he once burned, and smiled. "This time, you earned the peace." With one mighty beat of his wings, he soared into the morning sky, leaving behind light, not smoke. And so the kingdom of Obu entered a new age. Not ruled by kings or queens, but by wisdom, courage, and truth. No more blood was shed. No more daughters were thrown into fire. Instead, stories were told of the girl who rose from ash, the prince who gave up power, and the dragon who learned to forgive. And in every village, by every fire, children whispered the tale. The flame rejected became the fire that saved us all. The end.